When we talk about NBA superstars, we normally don't mention Jimmy Butler. But over the last 5 years, Butler has averaged more than 22 points just once. We don't talk about Jimmy Butler during the regular season. But scoring isn't the only indication of a great player, because he's a great two-way player, an elite defender, and when it comes to big games, he delivers. So far in the postseason, he's averaged just under 30 points per game, 2.5 steals per game. Last night, no different, led the Heat to the win. He had 41. And when we talk about stars, you're going to talk about LeBron or Luka, Greek Freak, and rightfully so, Jason Tatum. Butler has done this before. It's just he's had a weird career where he was, I think, the last pick of the first round by the Bulls. He also played for the Sixers. He also played for Minnesota, and now he's with the Miami Heat. I don't know how many future Hall of Famers played for 4 teams over the first 10 years of their career. I think that's probably the numbers there for Jimmy Butler. But he has that mentality that you want. It's playoff basketball. You know, we talked about Rajon Rondo, playoff Rondo. There are certain players. Reggie Miller in the postseason. Tim Duncan was great in the postseason. I mean, he was very good during the regular season. Tim Duncan always stepped his game up. And I have a crazy stat about that. I'll give that to you coming up. But it feels like every year, at least one time we say the following: man, that Jimmy Butler is really good in the postseason. Right? We always bring it up. We don't mention his name until May. And then he has a game and we go, gosh, he's really good, or he really cares. I just don't think I don't know if he's easy to play with, because he expects you to be great. He expects you to play hard. When he got to Minnesota, he probably looked at those kids and said, do you guys care? I mean, come on, let's go. There's a fire out there. Let's go. And then the Sixers famously took Tobias Harris and gave up on Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler has a chip on his shoulder. And you could understand it because, you didn't get drafted high in the first round by the Bulls. Oh, you're kind of an interesting story there. And then he bounced around to a couple of teams, and now he's with the Miami Heat. But had a big game last night as the Boston Celtics. You don't have Marcus Smart. You don't have Al Horford. Like, if I'm Boston, I don't feel bad about this. Now, I have Miami against Golden State in the finals and said that at the start of the season. But if I'm Boston, I'm like, okay, we've been in this situation before. Now, you got to get Marcus Smart back. Al Horford, he's in safety protocol right now. Don't know exactly when he'll be back. Probably game 3 at best. Marcus Smart. All right. You got blown out. Third quarter was the big difference here. Miami's been a great third quarter team, and you made it interesting, at least for them. But I wouldn't feel like all is lost or the sky is falling. You know, people talked about this game was so important for Boston. No, it was really important for Miami. If you would lose to a Boston team without Marcus Smart and Al Horford at home, that's a big deal. But Jason Tatum played well. Not well enough in the second half. But Boston lost to Milwaukee, game 1. They've been here before. I wouldn't panic. I think it's going to go 7 games. And Miami had a good night last night. As I mentioned with Reggie Miller yesterday, I think Tyler Hero is really the key for the Miami Heat. If he plays well and he gets 20 points a night, now you have enough firepower to stay with the Boston Celtics. Tyler Hero played well last night. He had 18. But Jimmy Butler goes for 41, and Miami takes a 1-0 lead. Yes, Seton.
It's funny to me that there's like the criticism of Jimmy Butler is that he expects his teammates to be great.
Yeah.
Like, he's the kind of guy that, like, he expects his teammates to play great. He expects his teammates to play hard. You know, he wants to win. He's one of those guys. Like, those are all supposed to be good things. Why for Jimmy Butler are they a negative?
Well, I don't think he wanted to stay with Minnesota when he saw those young kids didn't really care or didn't give the effort that he wanted. Philadelphia, they chose Tobias Harris instead of Jimmy Butler. Now with Miami, he demands a lot out of those players, and rightfully so. Yeah, I know. Here's Jimmy Butler after the win last night.
I speak for my teammates and the Miami Heat organization whenever I say I know what I'm capable of. And I don't do this to score 40 points. I play the way that I play to win, by all means necessary. And it just so happened that I scored 40. But if I score 40 and lose, I'm going to be really pissed off.
Okay. He's fun to watch. He's intense. And you need to have that. There's certain players that they just dial it up. And they dial it up when you need them the most. So Jimmy Butler has increased his scoring in the postseason over the regular season average 6 times. That doesn't compare to Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan has the most all-time, increasing his scoring average from the regular season to the postseason 14 postseasons. 14 times in his career, he had averaged more during the postseason than he did during the regular season. But Jimmy Butler, an impressive start to that series.